Hey guys, so I'm not going to be here on Monday and Tuesday, so I need to leave with you the assignments that you need to complete on your own. They all have different due dates, they're different assignments. They're all really important for what we have going on in the back half of the week. So I want to run through what those assignments are. I'm also then going to give you your today in histories for Monday and Tuesday, which you will be responsible for, and I'm going to go through the notes that you will need to copy down. So let me first explain the assignments. The assignments are listed as classwork number 8 through classwork number 10. Classwork number 8 is debate prep number 2. It's just like debate prep number 1, they're different documents. I also want you to notice these debate notes right here. This is where you should be synthesizing or putting or collecting all of the information that you would want to use on the debate. Remember, for the debate, you're going to have to argue both sides. You're going to have to potentially argue either that America Revolution truly was revolutionary or was not. You're not going to get to choose. I'm going to choose for you on that time of the debate. So therefore, you need to know what documents go with what argument, what your thesis would be for arguments, what are the main points of each of the documents that go with your side, and how your points prove your thesis or argument. Ultimately, this is going to make sure that you don't go blank before you debate. I've also attached a rubric so you can help know how I'm going to be grading this so you can be preparing. That's going to be due on the 23rd, which is Tuesday at 3:30. This is so I can give feedback to you on Wednesday so that if you did something incorrect, you will know and be able to get ready for that actual debate. Because again, that debate is half a test grade. It's about 2 quiz grades. Next, you have something called Himmler's History. Himmler's History is a YouTube series. So you have a couple different videos that you will watch. You're not going to watch all of them. There's 4 of them. If your last name starts with A through K, you're going to watch the first 2. And if you're L through Z, you're going to watch the second 2. And then finally, you have a quiz for review. Please take note that depending on what class you are in is how I want you to highlight your multiple choice answers. You will not get credit for your multiple choice answers if it's not highlighted in this color. So make sure to pay attention to that. All right. So to sum up, you need to have debate prep 2 done by Tuesday at 3:30. That would be February 23rd. Then you need to have Himmler's History done also at that same time, February 23rd. You need to have your notes complete in the Nearpod by Wednesday at 8 a.m. Now, I'm going to go through these notes on this video just to give you some extra commentary. However, for you to get credit for this on your classwork, you are going to have to complete it on the Nearpod because there's a question that you need to answer to show me that you did it. And then finally, your quiz for review is going to be due at Thursday, the 25th at 8 a.m. When you come in on the 25th, we have 2 assignments that we're going to do that will take up most of our day. We'll do quiz 4, and we will then do our debate. If you are trying to get paper points back, that is going to be due on Friday the 26th at 8 a.m. And I went through how to do that in class, but if you missed it, it's pretty detailed on the tutorial tab of your Google classwork. All right. Now what I'm going to do is the 2 today in histories that you need to know. The first one is February 26th, 1965. I'm going to go through these a little bit faster because you can pause it, rewind it, technology. On February 26th, or on February 22nd, 1965, Malcolm X was assassinated by the Nation of Islam. Malcolm X was assassinated by the Nation of Islam, period. He had spoke out against their leader, Elijah Muhammad. Malcolm X was assassinated by the Nation of Islam. He had spoken out against their leader named Elijah Muhammad. If you have extra time in this, I would highly recommend you Google search some things about Malcolm X. I think he's a very, very fascinating human being. I wish I could be there more to talk to you about him, but we will make sure to cover him in our class. And also, I would really Google the teachings of Elijah Muhammad. I think that you will find that they're probably very different than what you think just because he was a part of the Nation of Islam. A lot of his beliefs did not cater to what you would think of as traditional Islamic beliefs. Then we're going to do February 23rd, 1807. February 23rd, 1807. On February 23rd, 1807, Aaron Burr was arrested. Aaron Burr was arrested for committing treason. Aaron Burr was arrested for committing treason for trying to create an independent republic in Florida. Aaron Burr was arrested for treason for trying to create an independent republic in Florida. All right, Aaron Burr is the famous vice president who dueled Alexander Hamilton and shot and killed him. Because of that, he had to go on the run. This is just a good reminder that history has a bunch of crazy events in it, because that wasn't even the craziest event of Aaron Burr's life. The craziest event of Aaron Burr's life was probably this, where he and a general were attempting to seize a large portion of Florida to make their own country. So when you hear about like the Capitol insurrection on January 6th and people say the country's never been this crazy before, it has. It's just been a while. All right, so those are your two today in histories. For your notes, the title of your notes is Establishing a Bad Government. Again, this is just going to be additional commentary for me to explain the notes to you. You need to make sure you go through the Nearpod so that you can answer the question that goes along with it. When we're establishing a bad government, we're talking about the first governing document of the United States. We have two governing documents in our entire history: the Articles of Confederation, which lasted for 7 years, and the United States Constitution, which has lasted since 1789. One of these was bad and one of these was good. The bad one lasted 7 years. That's the Articles of Confederation. It was founded during the American Revolution, and during the American Revolution, you need to remember that the colonists are terrified of a king, a powerful federal government. So what do they want to do? Make sure that their federal government is super weak and give all the power to the states. So they create this Articles of Confederation, which gave almost no power to the federal government and all the power to the states. That's the major thing you need to know about the Articles of Confederation. Now, what are some good things that it did? Well, we got all of this land after the American Revolution, and we had to figure out what to do with it. So there were two things that they did. The first was the Land Ordinance of 1785, and this created a way for people to purchase land out west from the U.S. government. The U.S. would then use that money to fund public schools. And this is the first public school system that we're really going to have in America. And this is a big deal because up until this time, poor people didn't go to school. Only wealthy did. So poor people are now going to be able to go to school because of this land ordinance. And people bought this in the Northwest Territory, which is modern day Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. To ensure, though, that people weren't just moving out to this territory, people wanted these territories to become states. The states would be protected more by the U.S. government. So the Northwest Ordinance also created, the Articles of Confederation also created the Northwest Ordinance, which created a pathway for a territory to become a state. This promoted people to move out west. Another good thing about the Northwest Ordinance is this is the first limitation of slavery. Slavery was banned in all of these new states. The final thing that was good about the Articles of Confederation is it did ratify the Treaty of Paris. All right, so this is now your open-ended question that you'll need to answer on Nearpod to get credit for this. So what are bad things about the Articles of Confederation? Everything else. Legitimately, the federal government was so weak they could make laws, but they could not enforce their laws. They also couldn't tax, so they had no way to generate money. So they couldn't have things like a military. Every state got a vote, no matter how big or small. So if you were in Virginia, Virginia was about 10 times the size of Georgia. They both got one vote, didn't matter. And to change any of this, you needed 100% of people to agree. The final thing was there was no common currency. Each state had their own money. So if you wanted to do business with multiple states, currency had to be exchanged. This worked very similar almost to different countries. The states viewed themselves more as a different country than they did as United States. This created several issues, one of which was the British didn't leave after the American Revolution, something we don't talk about that much. They still had forts, and they wanted Americans to buy these forts because the British said they built them with their own money. The US couldn't buy them because they didn't have any money because they couldn't tax. Spain controlled New Orleans, and they wouldn't let different US states trade with New Orleans because instead of just making one trade agreement that all of the states could agree to, each state had to agree to a new term with Spain. Pirates were attacking ships in the Mediterranean, and there was nothing that the US could do about it because they couldn't fund a navy. The US had taken on massive debt for the American Revolution, and now they couldn't pay back their debt again because they couldn't tax. In fact, the only way that the federal government even got any money was voluntarily if states would send them money, which is not a good idea. Now, these are all really, really bad things about the Articles of Confederation, but the thing that is going to break the camel's back is Daniel Shay's rebellion. So Daniel Shay is going to be a former soldier in the Continental Army. He said, I fought for the Continental Army. At the back half of the war, he made a ton of crops to give to the Continental Army. He was told to do this by the federal government. Well, after the war, he couldn't afford all the land that the federal government told him to buy because his taxes went up so much. Now, these were not taxes by the federal government, they were taxes by the state government. So now he was threatened to lose his land because he couldn't pay these expensive taxes. So he and other farmers faced with this similar thing decided, what are we going to do? Let's burn the courthouses to the ground. Why do we burn the courthouses? It's where all the records are. If they don't have records of who owes what, then we can get off scot-free. Now, the state government is not going to be strong enough to put this down. So because of that, the national government is going to be called in, but it's going to be an incredibly delayed response. And so because of that, it's going to show the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation, that basically the states are not strong enough to put down this very simple rebellion. It shows the weaknesses of it. And so because of that, this is going to cause for leaders to get a grip and begin to want to revise the government. All right. So that is your notes. Make sure you do this on the Nearpod so you get credit for it. Answer that open-ended question. Again, I want to remind you that your debate prep 2, Himmler history, establishing a bad government notes, and quiz 4 review are all due next week. All right. I hope you guys have a great week. If you have questions, DM me.